Hi, welcome to TS Paranormal Productions, Trap Souls Podcast. We're here with another Beyond the Spirits with Chris Boggs, the Mortician, out of Pennsylvania. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Always looking for special guests, and you got your mug as always. I mean,
Got tea tonight, not coffee though.
okay, but yeah, I mean, I always enjoy reading all your posts, the daily coffee conversations. They bring light into your day, I guess you want to say, make you think a little bit.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
One reason we want to invite you on. Plus, Mortician, Paranormal. It's a lot. I mean, I do have a friend that is a mortician, and I'm going to say this straight up. I'm not kissing your butt or anything, but you guys are a special group. I mean, very special. The type of people you are. That kind of sounds bad, but the way you are. I mean, it's just you can't teach that. I mean,
No, it is truly, and as corny as this is going to sound, it is truly a calling. You see some people that get into the profession, and I call it profession because it truly is that we're a group of professionals. It's not an industry or anything like that. It is a true profession that you can spot the guys that get in there, or even ladies that get in there for the wrong reasons. I think it's just, oh, I'm going to wear the nice clothes and drive the fancy cars and stuff like that, and that's not what it's about. You know what I mean? It's really about helping others and serving people in like their darkest time.
yeah, I mean, like I said, you're special because it's my buddy Jeff is into as a mortician, and we're not going to get into his story too much because it's a little long. But for you to do something and make it about someone else, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's about the family.
Yep.
And again, like you say, there are people that do it for the wrong reasons. In any field, that's the same way. But in your field, when it's the most, I don't want to say horrific time, but most devastating time in their lives, and you're making it about them making them feel comfortable. I mean, it's amazing what you do, and I just want to put that out there because that's all I'm going to say like about that stuff. But um,
And I appreciate that because a lot of the times, that you hear a lot about first responders and all like that, but no one ever talks about like we classify ourselves in our circle. We're the last responders.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Most definitely, yes.
And there's times where you come home at night and you give whether Skylar is already in bed or something like that, you go in and you give her an extra hug or something. You know what I mean? Because it's been one of those days and you've dealt with one of those types of cases. And if I go through, I explain to people that whether they're interns or apprentices that I work with, and I explain to them if we go through a service and the family really from after the arrangements to them coming into the funeral home, if we're not seen again, then we did our job.
yeah,
It's not about us. We're not there to be stars. It's not about entertainment or shock value. It's being there to provide the venue, provide the space, and the communal mourning for them to be able to begin their acceptance. Because I hate the word closure. You never ever will have closure.
Yep.
It's acceptance, and then you literally are going to be rebuilding your life around that loss.
it makes sense. I mean, like if you're never seen again, you did your job. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so how many? I don't want to put this the wrong way, but it has to drain on you sometimes.
And so if a lot of people have noticed, I've actually switched companies.
Yes.
My firm that I was with in Maryland, we were serving 5,000 families a year. And, if I'm a firm believer that every family you serve, you give a little piece of yourself to. And serving that many families, you're giving so much and you're not having the time to take care of yourself. Self-care, even in any profession, is so important. You have to know when to step back and take time for yourself to, make sure your headspace right, and then physically you're in a good position. So the firm I just started with here in Pennsylvania, they're a little bit smaller volume, but we're looking to build that. And it's more, small town country funeral directing. So I'm really looking forward to that, being able to be in the community, being more engaged, and I get to be here in my backyard, which is really, really paramount to me to be able to serve my community.
Yeah, talk about like self time. I mean, we just talked about before we came on about your weekend, taking the time out and how it's draining, but you still do it for your family.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the things with Skylar. It's like that, with the paranormal, with her channel and everything that she's trying to do, it's supporting her because that's become like a daddy daughter thing. And that has really that's just something I really look forward to and that I value. And it's if you only get 4 hours sleep, you get 4 hours sleep. But it's not going to be an all the time thing. And I just don't want to have that. I only get one chance to be a dad,
Yes.
and I want to make sure that when I put my head down on the pillow at night, just like with work, I can put my head down calmly and easily and not have any worries or regrets. Because I see it every day, man. Life is very short. Enjoy life.
100%. And just to go on with that and everything, when like we first started and everything, you guys popped up on our radar and everything, and just me as a father, I instantly fell in love with it and everything that you sit there and allow Skylar to go do this at 9 years old and everything is like that's just downright amazing. And seeing how well she's been doing and everything is just kudos to you guys and everything. You've been doing an amazing job to sit there and support her and everything. You're doing excellent.
I mean, you figure she really started going full force either May or June. It was May or June. And I mean, it's been a rough road for her. People have given her a ton of crap. A ton.
I'm sure. But I mean,
I like to call it paranormal.
How much crap have you got?
We were lucky enough that it got nipped in the butt real fast.
Okay.
And because a lot of people that have actually been able to investigate with Skylar has explained, like, they shut them down really quickly to where, like, literally they got on the phone and called them directly in another state and was just like, look, the person that said it's really respected in the field and was like, I've investigated with this young lady. You have no idea. She's investigated better than some adults I've been out on investigations with. And, all of a sudden the posts and all were taken offline and things like that. So that's why a lot of her merchandise has that hashtag be like Skylar on it, because that's where that derived from. Like, everybody was like, come on, be like Skylar. So that was the cool part about that. But other than that, it's just people, because I don't know if you guys get it. You guys see it every time. People go out and investigate something. And what's the first words that come out of a lot of people's mouth?
demons.
You know what I mean? Oh my God, this is demonic. This is that. This is that. I do my due diligence before we go out on an investigation, figuring out where she's going, what we're going to do. Like, I helped a local paranormal group out doing a private investigation at a residence, which we didn't know anything about or what we were going to deal with. So obviously she didn't go on that. You know what I mean? So my wife and I are never going to put her in a situation that we would deem would potentially be dangerous. And you can run into anything anywhere you go. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to go find something that has the history of having something nefarious there to put her in that situation.
Something truly off the charts and stuff.
Yeah, no. Then people are just like, well, she's too young to be doing it. You know what, man? Everybody's got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And here's the thing. If we aren't teaching the younger generation and the next generation of paranormal investigators, they're going to learn from YouTube, people on TV and things like that. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's not bad on YouTube, but as well as I do, there are certain avenues that it's just, no. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And we don't do that.
Man, I'm on YouTube. Come on, dude.
You're the one who's talking.
I know. You're on YouTube right now, so I don't know what you're saying.
But without saying names, you guys know who we're talking. What I mean? Those groups, those teams that are just like for more of a shock value than actually getting out and investigating.
Investigating and trying to truly understand the unknown and everything, and bring hopefully proof to it. Which, I mean, we all know there's something and everything, but you try and sit there and try and bring it to more of a scientific realm that, hey, there is true hardcore evidence.
Yeah, we've done everything that we can do to try and explain it, but we still can't explain it. You know what I mean? We get to those points because, I mean, there's been times we've gone out to locations and it's just like we 2-3 hours later, it's like, yeah, we've got absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? But you know what? It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Not everything is paranormal. And I think a lot of people, they go out and they're like, well, if I made the trip out here, something's going to have to go bump in the night. You know what I mean? But it's not what it's about.
No.
I mean, we just did one. Nacho and I just did one last week. I mean, it wasn't until 3 in the morning, 2, 3 in the morning, nothing till then.
I think you just posted that video not too long ago on your YouTube. I watched that today, wasn't it? I think where you guys were doing that. Yeah, the states. Finally was like, I think you guys said around 3 in the morning that you start getting a lot of communication through the states method and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, again, like nothing from 6 till 2, 3 in the morning. Then the last hour made our night. So
And everybody was ready to go to bed, and I'm like, look, we're not going to bed yet. We got to try this at least. We haven't done this yet.
Yeah, and it worked out. I mean, the dice game was fun. I think I'm buying some dice for Madison, so definitely have to do that. But no, I mean, you're teaching your kid. First of all, you're making memories.
Absolutely.
That's the most important part with family. I had a friend who grandmother just passed away. I'm like, the one thing that never dies is memories. So
yeah, that's all you're going to have left. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I tell you, I see people every day in my career that either are standing over their loved one or standing at a casket. And there are so many I wishes, I should have, I could have, I should have, would have.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do not want to live my life that way.
no.
You know what I mean?
No.
When I said it earlier, life is short. Enjoy the time that you have, because that's one thing we can't do. We can't make more time. Time is a valuable thing. And I think that's where a lot of, even when we do paranormal investigations, it's sitting there and, trying to figure out, what happened. Why are you still here? Is it truly unfinished business? Is it truly, what's happening? Those types of questions. And Skylar, coming from, a funeral background, because she goes to the funeral home and stuff like that with me. And it's so cool to hear, like, even when we take one of her friends, like if we go to Sachs Cover Bridge or something like that, listening to them investigate, because it's questions I never would have thought of. What's the first question 9 out of 10 times that comes out of all of our mouths as soon as we walk? Can you give me your name?
Yeah.
Give me they're thinking outside the box. Hey, what was your favorite toy? What was your favorite color? Just different stuff. And it's just a different perspective from someone so young and, quote unquote innocent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. And I'm like, yeah, I got to write that down because I'm going to use that.
No, my daughter, I think she started around 12 with me. And again, like you said, different conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Like we went to Trans Allegheny and, we're, again, asking her, what's your name? Why are you here? And she just sits down in this one room that had a whole bunch of toys. Hey, you want to play with me?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, you don't think about that. And the different mindset. And it goes with kids, women, guys, when you're investigating, all different. Because everybody can relate different to different people. So
different perspectives, different points of view.
So let's get into it. How'd you get into the paranormal world then?
Oh, man. Honestly, when I was probably, 16, 17 years old, just going out back, old urban exploring and all. I lived in Maryland. We used to go places like, what the heck? It was an old state hospital down in Prince George's County, Glendale. And it was an old TB hospital, stuff like that. Found out after the fact it was, private government property. Found that out the hard way, by the way. Yeah, that was interesting. And I'll never forget that first experience. So it was me and 3 friends, and we got there, and we had to park down by like a utility like shed bunker type place, and it was very much like Penhurst. So they had like the doctors' residences were actually there on the property. There would be like dorm rooms and things. So we were coming around this corner, and we're still out in the like main courtyard, and then we're walking up toward the hospital, and all of a sudden we just see two figures, and they're walking toward us, and I'm like, oh, we didn't have flashlights on or anything like that. I'm like, crap, is this security? What is this? Well, all of a sudden these two figures just dart into one of the residences. So I'm like, all right, somebody's messing. Let's go check it out. So it's about 20 feet. We get up there, or about 20 yards. We get up there, and there's only one main entrance because they cinder blocked the windows and things like that up because people were breaking them and things. So there's only one way in, one way out. Nobody was in this place. And it was just like, your hair standing up on the back of your neck and things like that. We got into the hospital, and, you get that weird feeling like, man, something's just not right. And you could hear like footsteps above you, like things shuffling. And I'm just like, yeah, we got to let's just get out of here. So we were there for like 20 minutes, but that was something that always stuck with me. And then we started, getting involved in back when they used to have like online forums for like paranormal investigations and going out on like meeting groups and going out and investigating places. And, it just went from there. And then of course, watching, like Jason, Grant, all those guys, really paved the way for, us to be able to go out and start doing things more. And then, as Skylar got older, introducing her to, at the time it was Destination Fear. And then next thing you know, she was like, it was like in March one year, about 2 years ago. She was like, hey, can we go do that? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, can we go ghost hunting? I'm like, well, I'm sure I can find something. We live, 20 minutes from Gettysburg. And then we found like some, organizations out there that you can go that they own properties and do investigations and all. And then the rest is history. Just started going to Paracons, events and things like that. And then finally she's like, I want to start doing this. I said, if that's what you want to do, I'll do it with you. Let's go. And here we are.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, it's so hard, like with family, just trying to find something to do, because our kids are, what do they do now? They just go on their phones. I mean, I get it.
She's 9 going on 30. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
it's one of those situations to where I hope that, this will always be our thing. But she could wake up tomorrow and be like, Dad, don't even drop me off a block away from school. I don't want my friends to see me with you. You know what I mean? So it's just like, enjoy what I have now and then see where it takes us.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy it. I see what we got on here. Deborah, the beard memo tonight. I don't have a beard, do I?
She's saying you forgot the memo.
Everybody else has beards. What's going on?
I forgot the memo. I have to shave for work, so not a lot I have. This is uncalled for. I got a little stubble, and that's uncalled for. So I have to wear a gas mask at work. So
I mean, I wear SCBAs, and I'm able to get by with this.
yes. Okay, we'll talk about that for a second. Like, we could get away with it, but the problem is I have 120 officers. They're going to go all the way down. I mean, they just. I've passed before with this, and they say no. So Donna's on, Anime's on. I have to have Anime on sometime. I got to hear her stories. But if anybody has any questions for the Mortician or us, I have it. Try not to do it an hour in like we usually do. So bring questions early. No, I said my daughter does this with me. I think a lot of people ask why so young. And I said it's not about the age; it's about the maturity level of the kid.
Yes.
So age is just a number. I've seen 16-year-old boys, which we know they're terrible. That is a 16-year-old boy. Like, the maturity level's not there. They're gonna be running around doing stupid stuff. But my daughter's pretty mature, and she does a very good job. And she's one of the few I do trust in my group that do assist method. I'm like, she's not going to put the headphones on and say murder, death, kill every 5 seconds. So she's only going to give what she hears. So
We had it's funny you talk about like 16-year-old boys. So we were down at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash back in July, and we ended up meeting up with Stephanie Pitts from Haunted Havens out of like, I think she's out of like Ohio or the Midwest somewhere. And she had her daughters. She has 3 daughters. So Skylar met them, and we were at Sachs Bridge. And I mean, the bridge was packed. It was the last weekend of July. There was like so many people there. And all of a sudden the bridge just like cleared out. And it was us, and there was there's a group of like 5 teenage guys sitting at the end of the bridge. So, now my dad mode, my spidey sensors are kicking on. I'm just like, watching my 6 and stuff. And then all of a sudden, one of them get up and start walking toward us. And, it's a group of, young girls. And I'm like, great, here we go. And the guy comes over and he goes, hey, can we come over and hang out with you guys? Like, we think it's cool what you're doing. So now you've got, a 7, an 8, and a 9-year-old girl teaching these like 16 to 18-year-old guys like how to use dowsing rods and, how to use the equipment. It was the most epic thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was freaking awesome, man.
We have one question here. Well, maybe 2. One question. Have you ever seen anything creepy while you're working late at night?
So I would assume you're asking like about at the funeral home or something like that. And my train of thought has always been that nothing traumatic happened to the person at the funeral home. They passed away elsewhere or somewhere else. I've never had anything where I felt uncomfortable or uneasy, anything like that. No. I think that, why would you want to come hang out with me? You know what I mean? You probably want to be back with your family, or even for some reason back at the spot where something may have occurred where you may have passed away at. Now for me, when I pass, you better believe I'm going to be watching that funeral director, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. You're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, watching their P's and Q's. But nothing crazy, nothing like that at the funeral home.
I mean, that's what I'm a big. I mean, you can say it too, like graveyards. I'm not a huge believer in graveyards being haunted.
Yeah, why would you want to hang out there?
I believe your energy passes when you die. So why would funeral homes or graveyards be haunted? But could it possibly they come and say thank you to you for what you did also?
That could be a possibility. I think that there are times where people are tied to locations. So if you have like our funeral home has been in its location that I'm at now for 95 years. Do I think that maybe the original owners may have a tie there? Absolutely. Because you got to realize funeral homes were just that. That's where the term funeral parlor comes from, because the family would live upstairs and they would lay out the decedent in their front parlor of their home. So that's where you get the word funeral parlor. And they constantly lived there. So, that was their life. That was everything. And even for us, just because I'm not there and I'm able to come home now, I'm always on call. You know what I mean? So we're not physically tied to the building, but back then they were. Those guys couldn't even go on vacations unless they would have somebody come in and cover their funeral homes, because they didn't, back in the day, they didn't have beepers. They didn't have cell phones. They had, party lines, and somebody needed to be able to be there to be, answering the phone.
Yeah, for our small town and everything where Broadwell's located, so like directly behind, almost diagonal from Broadwell's funeral location is the last remaining standing funeral home that's actually been in the town of Felicity the longest, is the McIntyre Funeral Home and everything. And the current owners still live upstairs.
Yep.
And everything.
And that's how a lot of people are. The small town funeral homes are still like that, especially if they're not corporately owned.
Mm-hmm.
There are giant corporations that come in and buy a funeral home and just buy the name. but then the family does not really, they're not operating it. They're not owning it. Some family may stay on as an employee and for face value, but all the ownership and the decisions are being made, somewhere in another state by somewhere else that doesn't even know, the neighbors in the community. So it's definitely, it's a different beast now when it comes to funeral service, but it's definitely, an amazing profession,
Most definitely.
There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of give and take. Before I went in and, went to mortuary school, it was a conversation I had with my wife. And I explained to her, I was like, if we do this, this is going to be very demanding. And it's pretty much, there's going to be times where we have to stop whatever we're doing and I got to go. There's many directors, there's colleagues of mine, if they go out somewhere, they drive separate of their wife or, their husband in case they get a call, they've got to leave. Birthday parties, there's been many times on Christmas morning, because that's whatever, but that doesn't stop just because it's, Christmas morning or, it's after 5 p.m. So it's really, you're all in or you're not.
Well, just not you, your family. I mean,
yeah, exactly. They may not be being compensated as an employee, but they're part of the business.
Nacho, you've been kind of quiet over there. Got any questions?
Actually, I do. So I run the local VFW. And we obviously have our flags and have staff for Dick Cheney. And somebody asked me yesterday, I'm like, when are they having his funeral? And I didn't really know, so I looked it up. And it says November 20th. And he died, I believe, on the 3rd. That's 17 days. Now, I guess they could be cremating him and not showing a body. I don't know what they're doing with him.
Okay.
How long can you keep a body presentable?
So there are many, many different ways to answer the question. If you look at, Lenin out in Russia, he's re-embalmed either every year or every X amount of years. They actually re-embalm him to preserve his body. So, it's when you embalm someone, because I'm assuming if it's not going to be a memorial service where he's been cremated and just the cremated remains are going to be present, he's going to be embalmed, and they're going to keep a very close eye on him to make sure that if any part needs to be retreated, if anything needs to be topically treated, things like that, so he remains presentable. Once you embalm someone, you can keep someone for, a couple weeks. It all depends on the cause of death, and the skill of the embalmer. Because I've seen some people that can embalm great, and I've seen some people that I'm like, please never touch instruments again. Please just do us a favor and just go make arrangements. Do not come back in this room. So, for high profile funerals like that, it's not uncommon for things to be extensively prolonged for dignitaries, things like. If you look at the history, if you guys ever looked at the history of Abraham Lincoln's funeral,
a little bit.
Yeah. So Lincoln was taken on the train multiple places, multiple states, and viewed. Now, back then, they were embalming with arsenic, which was extremely, extremely dangerous, but it got the job done. Because when Abraham Lincoln and his wife Mary, after they lost their son, they would actually go to the grave, and the sexton, the caretaker of the cemetery, would open the grave, and they would sit in the rocking chair in the tomb and rock their son. And he was embalmed so thoroughly that he was still in good condition for them to be able to do that over an extended period of time.
Wow.
No idea.
I didn't know that part. I seen it was like this one TV show documentary part and everything where Lincoln and a president like a couple years before him and everything done seances and stuff there at the White House.
Trying to talk to his son. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Mary was big into belief into the afterlife and paranormal and stuff like that. Same thing with what was Harry Houdini's wife.
Yes.
That was huge with them trying to, and that was one thing that he had told Bess, is they had a key word that this is how you will know it is me. I will give this word, and I don't believe she ever received that word through any seances.
No, they didn't and everything, and I mean, I know people's has mixed feelings on like Ghost Adventures, but they done it like close to the anniversary and everything. They're at the Winchester's house and everything. Supposedly found his like long relative of his lineage and everything. Even brought him in and everything. I mean, some of the evidence that they captured and everything there was actually pretty interesting, and kind of makes you wonder if they might have maybe talked to someone that knew Houdini there or something. Because apparently, like they were sitting there saying, I guess Houdini went there numerous times and everything, practicing that stuff with him and his wife and stuff.
Yeah. Just talking about like cremation and stuff. Do you see more of a trend now into cremation compared to?
Well, statistically, cremation is, again, it's going to be your demographic area. The more south you go, the more traditional you're going to maintain with traditional burials, and even out Midwest. But, coast-wise, cremation is well over 80%.
Okay.
80%. And really what it boils down to, it comes down to, costs, unfortunately. And, a lot of people don't realize just because you choose cremation doesn't mean you can't have a viewing and a visitation for your family, for them to be able. I'm a huge believer in, think even for us in the paranormal field, seeing is believing, correct?
Yeah,
100%.
We have to see it to believe it. So I was always taught by a gentleman by the name of Vernie Fountain. He's an awesome restorative artist. He runs a school to teach restorative art out in Springfield, Missouri. And one of his things he teaches us is that from a baby, you're taught two things: always to say hello, and the second is always to say goodbye. If you don't say goodbye, you feel like something's missing. You feel, you just leave something really quick or something like that, and you leave mom and dad's house or something. You feel a little off, like, man, I forgot to tell dad goodbye or something like that. You just don't feel right. And when someone passes away, having that opportunity to go in and see that person, even if it's for a brief identification, not a full blown out viewing or something like that, that aids in the beginning of the grief process, because it's a multi-step process. And I personally believe, and I have seen it, that where people forego that portion have what they call complicated grief, because your mind is saying, well, I never saw that person dead, for lack of better words, to process that. And I mean, there's a ton of psychology behind it, but cremation is just, it's taking off. Most people don't have life insurance anymore to be able to pay for funerals, because they find it as too much of an expense and they don't feel that it's worth it. A lot of people don't realize that you can prepay your funeral and make payments on that. It's not something you have to go in and drop, $6,000 or $12,000 on. You can go down, put $1,000 in, and then make monthly payments on it until it's paid up. And then you don't have to worry about passing that on to your kids or your wife or whomever you might be leaving that burden to. And then a lot of people want to say, oh, I don't want to have a funeral. Put me in a chock full of nut coffee can, or, just take me out and bury me in the backyard. And people don't realize the funeral is not for you. It's for your family. It's for those people. Yeah. So I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole. That's a whole different perspective, though.
No, you're right. It's about the family. It's because, I've been asked, getting older, what do you want? I'm like, really don't care, to be honest. Like, whatever you want, because it's about you grieving, not me. I'm gone. I mean, I believe being in the paranormal world,
Mm-hmm.
I believe our energy leaves when we die. So what you do with me after, I really don't care. I mean,
I think that was one of the biggest things for me when, that really got me into the funeral industry. I didn't go into the funeral industry right away. Um, but I lost my grandmother, who was an integral part of my life. My grandmother was like everything to me. And I was either 10 or 11. I may have been younger. And I'll never forget when she passed away, um, going to the hospital, and our family clergy was there. And he said, Chris, I want you to know something. When you go in and see your grandmother is no longer there. Her spirit is gone. That is just a shell. And a lot of people ask me, well, how can you do your job? How can you do what you do, when it comes to embalming and stuff like that? And I mean, that really played an integral role to me, because I'm not, the person, the spirit is gone. The soul is gone. So I'm doing what I can to make that person presentable for you to be able to have that one last chance to be able to say goodbye.
it's a lot to think about.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
It got deep for a second.
Yeah.
I never took 3 hosts quiet, man.
I'll tell you,
Big. I'm against saying goodbye all the time.
Mhm.
Because to me, goodbye is final. So if we're hanging out and you're leaving or I'm leaving, hey, I'll see you later.
See you soon.
Or see you soon. Or to me, goodbye is something that's very, very final. And I don't know where I came up with this in my life, but I just, even if I'm on the phone, I don't say goodbye. It's see ya.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does. It sounds like it's very formal that's the end. And as a funeral is truly a goodbye. And so I don't know, if I haven't been to a ton of funerals in my life, more in the last few years than I have ever. But to me, that's the funeral is the final goodbye. So I avoid goodbye at all costs. I don't know where I picked that up, but it's just.
I mean, it makes sense though, because if you're so used to saying goodbye and that being the finality of it all, you know what I mean. So it's even I've seen even clergy at the end of the service explain to people that depending on your belief and things like that, that if you don't believe X, Y, Z, this is goodbye. But if you do have a belief and faith or whatever, that it is see you again soon. So it's really I've seen that on both sides, both spectrums.
yeah, it's kind of like till next time kind of
Mhm.
thing. No, I get yelled at a little bit. Not yelled at, but I have a hard time with funerals. I usually don't go up to the casket because I always like to remember the people the way they were.
Mhm.
My grandmother's, again, I was real close to my grandmother and my grandfather, and I went up there with my daughter, and I was looking above it, and I was like, love you. And my daughter she'd be 8. She's like, you talking to Maud? I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I see her too. I'm like, just say goodbye. Like, she wasn't there, but she was above, just watching us. I mean, mentally, that's what I thought. But then my daughter's like, yeah, I see her too. I'm like, cool. Like, say goodbye. Like, it's not goodbye, but it's, I'll be around. Don't worry about it. I'm watching over you. So
There's subtle hints, man. That I'm a firm believer that if somebody that's super close to you, like there'll be times where I'll just get like this feeling or something like that, like man, whether it be my grandmother or whether it be my dad, because I lost my grandmother and my dad probably within 4 months of each other too when that happened. And there's just times where it's like that they're there. You know what I mean? You can just feel you have that feeling. I'm not saying that like I'm an empath or anything like that, but you just get that feeling, that warm fuzzy feeling.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you just really need that. Now, whether that just be our mind or whatnot, but you get that feeling, that reassurance every once in a while.
Deborah asks, so where do you think the soul actually goes? And do you think it's energy?
That's a deep question. That's a deep question. That might be beyond the mortician scope, but I believe we are energy, and we see that with the equipment we use when we investigate. What is one common thread of all of our equipment detect? Energy. So I believe that we are, our soul or whatever, is energy, and whether it chooses to move on to a greater place or whether it feel that it need to stay here, I believe that there is an energetic field to our being and things like that for sure.
I think there's been actually some case studies and done and everything. Like we do put off a EMF field on our own. We are on like a certain level and stuff, producing energy and everything. I mean, if like being in the first responder background and everything, there's definitely energy in us, and the heart's its own energy component itself and everything firing on its own and stuff. Because if our brain controlled it or we had actual control over it, we would done killed ourselves.
They say we only use a certain percentage of actually.
Oh yeah, 100%. Now like I believe that when we do our final breath and everything, that's when our soul leaves and stuff. Or the energy and everything, and where it goes and everything is basically going to kind of be on anyone's belief and everything. Like most of our team members and everything were Christians and everything, and so we believe that we go to heaven and everything. But also here lately, like me and Justin's been having talks and everything, and it's like because we're trying to do this paranormal field and more of a Christianity background and stuff, and it's like the Bible never really says where you kind of go and everything. It mentions like when Jesus died on the cross and stuff, he went down and the believers before him and everything, he went and brought them out of hell and stuff. And after that, and it says there, if you like again in the book of Revelations, our bodies come out of the ground and everything, and then our spirits kind of come out of this somewhat of the sky and everything. Is that truly us coming out of heaven, or are we kind of in this limbo till Christ comes back and stuff? And it's just, it's so hard to tell and everything, because it's like, okay, if this is the case, if we're looking at Christianity standpoint and everything, doing these investigations, are these actually true spirits that we're truly communicating with and everything? Or like kind of find out like the creator of the spirit box and stuff, he believed when he created that device, it was to talk to ET and stuff. It wasn't for spirits.
Well, if we go down that road, okay. So if you think about 2 Corinthians, they say to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. You know what I mean? I come from a very, very big Christian religious background. So my question is this. We're going to go down a road here, but think about it. So you pass away. And technically, we're not supposed to go to heaven until the rapture and the second coming of Christ, correct?
Yes.
So when you pass away, are you just sleeping, and that energy is dormant until the second coming of Christ, and then you're raptured with the church, and the dead will rise and things like that?
Yes.
Or is it as soon as you pass away, because you're technically absent from the body at that point, you're then taken to heaven? Or whatever your belief would be.
Yeah.
So it can go deep. You can digging into philosophical conversations and things like that in regards to the paranormal aspect. Because, if Revelation says the dead and Christ will rise first, correct?
Yep, when the first trumpet sounds.
So at that point, then the dead now are technically not there.
Yes.
So where are they?
Don't know.
Right.
Because that was a really good question and everything, and it's just like it kind of because this past couple weeks and everything. Me and Justin.
Bet you didn't think we were going down this with a funeral director.
There's a lot of open interpretation in it, and the biggest thing is all five of us could read something, and we could all get something different from it.
100%.
What we need, right? It's what we need. It's not. May not be the right thing or the wrong thing. It's just what is aimed at us at that moment. And you could go back and read it 2 days later, and it'll mean something totally different to you.
And then how many times have we used it to be weaponized?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So I'm just going to say this. Are there different dimensions? I only said that. I just want to see if the cat ball goes off, to be honest with you.
Because, I mean, last time it was. Yeah. So, I mean, like, after that and everything, Justin was in for that podcast and stuff, and we've been talking about that and everything. It's like going on more like on a Christian level and everything, because, like, so you're sitting there telling me the one true God and everything for our beliefs, whether you believe it or not, perfectly fine. I'm not here to judge and stuff, and none of us are. But you're sitting there telling me this almighty being and everything has created this huge universe and everything. And if you just go look at the Milky Way galaxy alone, you're telling me he decided to sit there and just make this one speck in this Milky Way galaxy that has life and stuff. I think there's more out there and everything.
There's definitely so much out there.
I mean, I do believe in there's ultimate dimensions and everything, different timelines and stuff, and we're just right now at the standpoint where we are, and as a civilization and everything, I don't think we can fully understand it.
We could be somebody's snow globe right now, you know.
It'd be like was it Men in Black 1 or 2 and everything? They kind of done that and everything where the aliens sit there and grab the marbles, playing marbles and stuff with the Milky Way galaxy and stuff.
We're the biggest thing going, and we're probably not even like a speck on the map. I mean, it's just
they're like, these guys are so far behind.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I do see somebody said, "Wow, Lenin, really?" So it's not John Lennon. I want to make that very clear. It was Vladimir Lenin, who was re-embalmed in Russia. His name is Vladimir Lenin. He's re-embalmed every couple years.
Trying to read Deborah's. You keep getting mixed up here. What are you asking, Deborah? About negative energy, positive energy?
So she's going on like a point of view on the energy of a deceased person, the soul, wherever we want to call it, sticks around and everything. Hang on, I gotta mute myself. Little man just got home. He's mad.
Okay, so AKA the soul. If we're going to call the energy sticks around or comes and goes, because something appears negative, something appears positive. So that's your point of view. So are we talking about like maybe like how negative energy reacts versus a positive type of interaction? I'm having trouble following.
Yeah, I read like.
I think it's more or less than everything. Like why are we seeing positive energy and negative energy and everything? I think some of that would have to kind of almost deal with how that person was living. And everything. Who were they when they was alive and stuff? I mean, like when we was at Jonesville and everything, we really want to get into the evidence. I'm not going to get on that whole spew, but we talked to a resident through the Maglite and everything, and there's been records of him when he lived there and everything. He was just basically part of my French, a ornery asshole and everything. He loved to pull pranks and everything. He was stubborn and everything and all that, and now he's still continuing on that in the afterlife. And a lot of people, when they go there and investigate, and he starts, making himself known and everything, pulling some pranks or just being stubborn or being hateful towards them because they're taking them off, they're automatically saying demon and stuff. No, we sit there and talking and everything. I sit there and ask, I'm like, it was Harold. I'm like, Harold, turn the flashlight on. And yes, if like, was you like this when you was alive and everything? Just like, didn't take no bullshit and stuff like that. Boom. Flashlight lit up bright as day and stuff. And it's like, he's just the same as in the afterlife.
I agree with that.
So
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think if you get a grumpy old man, that's just a grumpy old man, and especially like I know me, if you come run across my grass, I'm gonna be screaming at you, get off my lawn. So the same thing, I pass away in my house, and people are out there messing around on my lawn. I'm gonna be pissed off and tell them to get off my lawn. Um, you know, I think you get, you're not just gonna when you pass away, you're just not gonna change and I'm just gonna be happy go. That is your fiber of your being. That's what you're made up of. That's not going to change even when you pass away. At least that's my point of view, my perspective of it.
I agree with you, 100%. Just because you've died and you no longer have a body, your energy is still you 100%. And if you were a positive person or you were a negative person, I don't see that changing just because you've moved out of your body.
Yeah, and it goes back to like people, they always say, "Oh, that person has a sweet soul or a calm, or not a sweet spirit," things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you want to use the term your spirit, whether you want to use the term your energy, interchangeable. I think it's the same type of same type of meaning there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, doing a paranormal, because I have a friend that's going to go with me next year. He's scared of it. He's never done it before, but he still wants to do it. Everybody thinks that everything's negative. What do you think is like, what percentage of positive paranormal experiences have you had compared to negative? Because I believe most of our experiences are positive. It's just spirits.
It is so funny you're bringing that up.
Yeah, because you can't see them. I mean, if you're walking down a dark hallway and someone taps you, you're going to be scared, right?
Absolutely.
Behind you. It doesn't mean they're negative.
Well, I think and here's where we talk about, the difference of, fear being, taken off guard versus something nefarious and I refuse to play into the D word, but something evil. You know what I mean? You're going to know right off the bat whether you're just getting activity or whether or not you're dealing with something not nice. I don't believe, I think, because if it's nefarious or if it's something dark, they're gonna try. It's gonna be much more darker in their activity and their presentation to you versus your cat ball or your REM pod or whatever piece of equipment you're using going off. Most of the time, a lot of the stuff where I've encountered something negative has been through EVP work, because they're literally screaming at you to get the HELL out. You know what I mean? Versus trying to give you a message from my perspective and what I've dealt with through different investigations. And it was funny that you mentioned that you bring this up. Like Friday night, we went and that hopefully by the end of next week, I'll have the video out. But we did the Jenny Wade house. We did a private there, and we collabed with Black Lantern Paranormal out of Gettysburg. And normally, anytime I have done Jenny Wade, it has been a very calm, welcoming, just peaceful, interaction. And we've got something completely different there, and we were all really taken back and surprised by it. So I'm really looking forward this weekend to digging into that evidence and going through the video and all that stuff. Because I mean, at one point it was like it came across the spirit box so we were in the parlor room where the bedroom was, where they brought the bed downstairs after her sister had given birth, and then the kitchen where Jenny was shot is right behind that room. Okay. So we're sitting in the bedroom on the floor, and we've got through the spirit box that whatever it was could not come into the room where we were, and it said holy, holy, holy 3 times. So that was very different than what we normally get at the Jenny Wade house. And we're like, well, what do you mean? And come to find out, one of the people that were with us, his name's Nick from Black Lantern Paranormal, had a piece of wood that was blessed by Father Bob from Nesper, and for him to carry and keep with him. So Nick said, I'm going to take this and put this out in the kitchen. As soon as he took those keys, and I cannot explain it, and put it in the kitchen, the activity inside that parlor was like somebody turned the light switch on to, vacancy, and it just went in crazy. The EVPs we were getting, the stuff off the spirit box, the interaction on equipment, and we just can't figure out why that house is just like a magnet for supernatural in Gettysburg. It's insane.
I mean, do you think because people are there asking questions?
Well, I honestly believe that whatever is there, because think about it, if you're in and somebody brought this, and it was a great point, the spirits that are in the battlefield, you can't go there and investigate in the evening. It's very frowned upon, looked down on to go take equipment out. So if those spirits see, wow, there's all these people going there to try and talk to people, talk to me, I'm going there. So the question is, can they see that and they want to go in? Because we've had it to where on the spirit box, like there's one, I wish I could play it for you guys, but it's probably not going to hear it through the audio. I say, talk one at a time, please. And you can hear multiple people trying to talk, trying to get messages across. So I think it's because they do investigations, they open it to bring people in there. So people are like, I want to go talk. I want to get my message across. They're so eager to try to be able to express themselves.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. I brought that up plenty of times with Nacho and everybody. Like Ross House, you're just asking questions. Why aren't the spirits next door? Because no one's asking questions. Mm-hmm. You're the one asking all the questions. So I guess if you want to own a haunted house, just keep asking questions. Spirits will come. I don't know if you want to do that to yourself, but if you want to ever own a haunted house, just keep asking yourself questions and asking questions. I believe spirits want to be heard just like we do. So they will come. I mean,
that brings up a good point, like the Middle Point and everything. Middle Point School in Middle Point, Ohio. Through the records and everything, they really haven't been able to find anything like traumatic to happen. The only thing was it was like a third grader, I forget what year, but a third grader fell from the second floor down the stairwell. She lived, but that was the most traumatic type of thing that happened there at that school. But the town itself has a lot, since it's been found, it has been plagued with a lot of turmoil and everything. And just the block alone that place sits on and everything is just horrendous and everything. What really kind of put it on the map was, just make the story real quick and everything. The guy that lived in the town straight across, just right across the street from the building and everything, came up missing. A house off to the right of the building and everything, that's where the guy used to work for and everything. He ran his construction company. Kind of found out he also kind of dealt in some shady stuff, drugs and all that. And the house off to the other side of the school and everything, that was a drug dealer and all that, and they made all the drugs. Underground Paranormal comes in, gets the building and everything, starts doing an investigation. They get into a contact of this spirit that gives out this person's name that's been missing and stuff. And just like, hey, been missing, was murdered, blah, blah, blah. Where it got to the point where FBI opened the cold case because they'd never been able to find this body. The person, his boss and everything, when they first raided his house and everything, they didn't find out nothing. But since this kind of came up and everything, it's like, well, it's a hunch. Shut these people up. Let's go. Somehow they got a warrant to execute the raid and everything, found it in his house and everything, where the ghost said would be a hidden cubby, and it was a duffel bag of the clothes that he was wearing last time he was ever seen, with blood on it and everything. So the dude just got released like 21, 22 from prison and everything for tampering with evidence and everything. But like how he showed us the location of all the places and everything, it formed a perfect triangle. And in the center of that triangle was a school. And it's like, is this school becoming a conduit for everything?
Like, yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on like ley lines and stuff like that?
I don't believe them. Straight out, I think they're. I mean, I don't think one person, a scientist, can come out and say, "Hey, point A and point B make a straight line, so there's ley lines." I mean, you get 2 points anywhere in the world, it's going to be a straight line. I don't believe in ley lines, but I also don't believe in crystals and all the other stuff. So,
well, yeah, because I mean, the problem I find where a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to carry this or carry that type of thing," it's do you open yourself up to vulnerability if, say, you forgot that when you're going on an investigation or something like that?
I think it's a mental thing. I think it's the belief in the crystal, the belief in your belief, like religion, is what protects you. So if you don't have that crystal, then yes, I think you're going to open yourself up to something more. But I believe in my religion, and I always carry that with me. So I'm never going to forget that. But if you have a crystal or something that someone gave you that you think is going to protect you and you forgot that, I think that's more of a mental game that you're going to open yourself up to something that you don't want to open yourself up to.
I mean, I think if something's going to attach to you, something's going to attach to you.
Yeah.
There's not much that you're going to be able to do to stop it. It's just, you just need to recognize when things are getting heavy that you need to just get yourself out of a situation.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of people, when they start playing with things they shouldn't play with, and they don't realize it until it's too late.
Yep. I mean, talking on that and everything, I watched a series of JW and everything. He done the Rollgate project last year up in Bryan, Ohio. We got to see a little bit of it this year because they'd done it at the Bardwell. But like, if you get to see it, look, Traveler's Rollgate project and stuff, the amount of research that this guy has done and everything, and the theories that he's coming up with to try and sit there and think that we might be able to investigate by astral projection and stuff is quite amazing. But Tennessee Wraith Chasers joined them for that. And the little short little interview and everything, and they're like, we're coming on this in the paranormal from our Catholic background and stuff. Mm-hmm. We're believing the holy power and everything, all that, the prayer of protection. But we also know when we're going to these locations, we're ultimately entering their realm and everything. And sooner or later, they're going to find a crack in something and find a weakness. And I mean, just this past public event that we done at the Bardwells, I was not in the right state of mind and everything. That day, I had to put my fur baby down and everything, really unexpected and stuff. I was in the right state of mind and everything, and I got curious because I went down to check on everyone down in the basement, and a new group that just I announced last night and everything, and they finally made their Facebook page. They caught a EVP, and still to this day, here and there, because they sent the clip to me, here and there, it still sounds like my dog. But at that moment, it 100% sounded like my dog, and I think it was more of maybe emotions and everything because I wasn't in the right state of mind, but it got me curious because there was no dogs around there in the location. So started asking questions. They believe they was talking to the Maglite, to the one. And when I said his name, the one, that was the brightest that ever was. I'm like, do you want me to do a states method? Boom, lit up again. I like to fully confirm it because they set up another one, light up both of them. Show us that you really want me to go into your area and I'll communicate with you. Both lit up and everything. And knowing I shouldn't have went and everything, but I mean, shortly after doing the estates and everything is when I heard in a deep growl that he said my dog was his. Scare the crap out of me, and where I had to leave and compose myself and everything. And there's like, if you're not in the right mental space and everything, you're not going to be fully prepared.
Completely.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like when we do one of the problem, like not problem, that's a bad way to word it, but one of the issues that I have is being able to going and doing investigations places because people won't allow Skylar to become because of her age. So we're very tapped in where we can go unless I rent things out privately and stuff like that, which can get very expensive very quickly.
100%.
One of the things that, I find when we go on these public investigations is that, if you go in and there's a group of a bunch of guys and like, oh, we don't believe, you know what I mean? We're just here because our girls are making us come and this, that, and the third. I mean, the energy and interaction we get matches what's being given So if people go in there and they're cocky and arrogant, you might get a little bit of that back, or they might just say, screw you, I'm not here to talk to you because you guys are just, buttheads. So nothing happens. Or they're, I've seen it to where these guys are like, okay, we're done. We're out. This is too much. We're scared, because they're like, get out of my house. They don't want you here. Get out of my space. And then if it is something nefarious, uses whatever you're going through emotionally to be able to break you down, to then be able to attach or do whatever it would want to do to you.
Oh yeah, because like whenever it started, got real deep and everything. Because like when I left, everyone stopped and everything. The unearthing the violent. I'm butchering the name, but I made a post. It's in the tagging and everything. I think actually one of them might be in here. But they even join in the new ones and everything. They sit there. It's like, Justin, you go check on them. We're stopped. We're not going to do anything. And I sit there and ask Justin. I'm like, because I can remember most of the answers I was sitting there hearing. I'm like, what were some of the questions he was asking? It's like, well, kind of like, he started mentioning my room and everything. I'm like, okay. He's like, so we asked who was in your room, but he never gave the answer. It was more like, he's suffering, he's in pain, turmoil, heartache. I'm like, yep, okay. I'm pretty sure he was talking about me and everything. And I'm like, okay, what else? He's like, wanting you to get out and everything, which is not uncommon and everything for the one that's his space. He really kind of doesn't want people out in his area. But sit there, and I'm like, okay, what did you sit there? And he's like, well, for you to get him out and everything, do something to him. Don't harm him or anything, but do something to him. And he's like, and that's when you say, don't tempt me. And it's like, well, we're not trying to tempt you, but you want him out. Prove yourself. And then that's when shortly you got up and got out and everything. I'm like, yeah, because this is a response he sit there and told me, because I didn't even announce the response and everything. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, no, not playing this game.
See, when I get very leery, and again, when we're doing public, and it's not people that are true, like other investigators, they're just there to try and have an experience or something. When they start doing the Gandalf the Grey, like, I'm not a cheap conjurer of cheap tricks, know what I mean? Trying to provoke and things. Man, I've been to places where there is absolutely no need to provoke. It's just going to happen. And if you provoke, you don't know what type of can of worms you're going to be opening, especially like Penhurst. When we go there, there's absolutely no need to provoke, but people try to provoke. And I mean, you're not going to like what you're going to get. I've seen grown men cry there, because again, it's not that it's something nefarious, but they're showing themselves. You want me to show you? I'm going to show you, but you better be ready for what you're asking for.
Oh yeah. And like, I mean, we dealt with the one and everything, because I think now we're up to like 10 something investigations being there. I mean, it's in our local backyard and everything. We're the base team now and everything, helping the owner and stuff. So I mean, it's not our first run in and everything, but I mean, that was the first time that like it hit me to my core. I'm like, so I mean, I only have two major events that really kind of struck me to my core and everything. And we're going back to the other one, Middle Point, when I was using our new device that's a direct link and stuff, where it kind of uses your energy and stuff. And that's where I ended up with the 3 scratches on the back of my neck. That one of the scratches drew blood. Don't know why. I think a lot of it was because we're getting ready. We're trying to clear up some of the audio and everything, but we caught quite a bit of good EVPs on a live stream, and like we heard just like something right next to the mic when my cell phone and everything, and we know the 2 people that were still in the room wasn't near it and everything, and you can see me and Cole out in the hallway away from it, but like Justin's asking questions, not really understanding the communication he was getting from the spirit box, but we hear audible a sigh and everything, like the spirit was getting aggravated with us. And then after they noticed when I felt the burning, I asked them to come check the back of my neck, and they're like, dude, you got scratched. And I'm like, okay, who done that? We hear audible female sitting there saying, it was me.
Oh wow.
and stuff that came through the cell phone that was and sitting. I mean, we're a good 5 to 10 feet away from my cell phone and everything, and it was like crystal clear. And at that time, there we only have one other female. It's like that's not her saying it, because you can hear. It was either me or Cole sit there. It was like, go get the camera so we could show the people watching what happened and stuff. And you hear her say, okay. And then shortly after it, we got that response. It was me. And I think it was more of just, look, you're not paying attention. You're asking where I'm at and everything. I'm going to show you where I'm at. I'm behind you.
Chris, I had a question for you here. Kind of,
It's a big deal.
have you ever gone into a place that something happened and then just leave because it was that bad? I kind of want to like, with Skylar, have you ever gone into something where that you had to like pull Skylar out?
No, like I said, anytime we go out and we're doing investigations, it's places where I can do some digging, some research on to know what type of activities have been done there and things like that. I've even personally never been to where, when I was younger, like I said, the first time I went to that hospital in Maryland, it was just one of those things that was just uncomfortable. And it's like, just something doesn't feel right. And it was, again, 16 years old, let's get out of Dodge type of deal. But I personally have never been to a location, never been with Skylar to where it's like, all right, we need to stop. We need to shut down. We need to get out of here for safety, or we felt like something may possess or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never personally had that. I don't know if you guys ever had anything like that.
I mean, I think I've had where I told my group like leave the area because I don't want to put my group in any type of danger. But I'll go back. I mean, especially if the females or my daughter's involved, I will go back and face that whatever was down there.
Now, are these locations that you previously investigated, or were these like investigations you were going in and
the one was investigations we're just going in. So I go in my like the big names, I guess. If we're not helping someone out, I don't do any history into the places because I don't want to be influenced.
Okay.
Now, once I get, evidence or EVPs, then I'll go back and do history. Then I'll go back to that place and ask questions. But usually if something's like hair getting pulled or scratches, yeah, why don't you guys take a step out? But I'm going back in and we're going to get to the bottom of this. Because majority of places, and Nacho knows that, when women get scratched or more harassed, it's because it's back in the, early 1900s where they could be. So someone like me and Nacho going in that, bigger dudes, they're not going to step up to the plate. Usually. Haven't had it happen yet, but Nacho, I never really asked you this. Protection-wise, anything?
So I have a crucifix that I wear. I've also got a St. Michael on it. And I only recently got the St. Michael. I am not Catholic, but I did a psychic reading in Johnstown, and the lady told me that she highly recommended me to get a St. Michael. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of humored her, but I still felt like I needed to get it. I do have a St. Benedict bracelet and a ring, and usually I wear the ring around my necklace as well. I've a couple of times forgot to take them with me, and like we'll be on the road and I'm like, oh, I forgot to take them. Usually things are more active when I don't have them. I don't know why. It could be that I'm thinking, oh, I don't have them. But I don't really know that they do anything for me, right? I'm an ordained minister, so I wear the cross anyway. But I have not encountered anything myself that would make me fearful of something. We were just at a location that other people encountered something, and the person that actually encountered it has been doing this like 25 years. And he was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm just done. And to me, that speaks volumes. I did not experience it. And I stayed there. I mean, I stayed there all night. But at no time did I feel like I was in danger. So I do have them. I don't know how much they do or don't do for me, but
I think it boils down to it again, the mentality of the person and each individual. We all have something that gives us a level of comfort or confidence, whether it be a crucifix, because again, these are just symbols. They're symbols. They're, ultimately, is it going to, I saw, does the cross ever make the spirits or anything mad? Again, they're symbols. I have seen now clergymen go into certain places and things amp up because whatever may be there does not want a person of the cloth or a clergy there. So that right there is a couple, red flags when we've done private home investigations, because, people have done things and opened their home up to spirits and other things to come in, and they're trying to get answers to what's going on. And then, you do your investigation, you do your due diligence. And, we've asked, well, how would you feel about if we brought a priest with us, or, brought a minister or pastor with us? And, you get very aggressive responses back. And then it's going into, how do we bless your house? How do we cleanse your house? What do we need to remove? What did you bring in? So again, I think the symbology is not as much as the actual occurrence or the actual practicing of the faith. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you could put a pentagram on your house, but that doesn't mean, something's going to happen. Right. Look how many Halloween decorations get put out, on Halloween that have, those symbolisms on them. I believe, you start practicing things, then you open yourself up, and then you invite things in.
Intentions, your intentions are a lot.
Exactly.
Your intentions and your state of mind. If you go in there and you're down or you're depressed, you're more likely going to encounter something that's going to be more on the negative side. We try to, on most of our investigations, get our team together beforehand. Maybe sit down and eat a meal, kind of gather our energies, make sure everybody's where we need to be. If somebody's down, we lift them up, we get them ready, because you want everybody going in there on the same key. Mm-hmm. Somebody with that is, and just Travis said, he was down, he was hurting at the moment, and it affected him. So they will look for a weak link, right? Any chink in the armor is the easiest place to jump. So we try to get everybody on the same page. We try to, and it doesn't always work. We don't always get everybody together. But if we can, we always have a much more balanced investigation, because everybody's got that same state of mind. Everybody's got the same intentions. And you just go in with that positiveness, and usually things just flow that way.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in positive energy. I think positive can deflect negative energy. Negative energy will bring negative energy in. Let's talk about symbols real quick, because I got it on my shirt here. So Salem witch trials and all that. What's the one thing a lot of people did, carved in their house? The demon traps, right? Mm-hmm. Again, they used to carve demon traps into the wood that would trap the demons before they got in their house. Did that actually do anything, or did it just make them feel good that it did? Kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. I stopped by that because, little Trap Souls hoodie, swag, little demon trap. You guys want some, let me know. But no, I mean,
merch plug here.
Yeah, I mean, it's my podcast. I'm allowed to plug some merch. Not you. Come on, dude. No. No. Oh man, we got some merch. Scholar has merch.
We're a Trap Souls shirt tonight, but
he does.
when it got washed, there was a sticker on it.
So this was back, and I don't know if we'll be able to see it well, but this was back in June when we were out on an investigation, and her back,
Yeah, I remember seeing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and she got through the. She was doing the Estes method, and it would say, I will scratch you, I will scratch you, and then she started feeling like that on her arm, lifted up her shirt, and showed me, and I was like, all right, it's time to go, let's go. And because she's just like, I don't feel comfortable. And once she gets to that point, I'm not going to force her to stay there. It's like, you don't feel comfortable, it's time to go. And that was very interesting that night. And that was at Sachs Cover Bridge.
Wow. So I mean that's for anybody out there that's doing paranormal. When you start feeling uncomfortable, just walk out.
No one to go.
I mean,
And sorry, that's what we told the one team and everything. They've been doing it for a while. Then this other group, they came with their own equipment, sitting there doing their own thing at home and everything because they feel like a loved one is still lingering and everything. And they showed us some possible communications they had and everything. But the barbell was their first legit investigation. And I'm like, look, I'm just kind of being background, just quick spiel. I'm like, I'm not in the right space. Shouldn't have done it later and everything. My bad. But I'm like, look, this is our event. Whether you believe in prayer or not and everything, we're going to closely monitor you and everything. If we start seeing something that we don't like, or we feel like you're being affected, we're going to sit there and ask you, follow Justin and everything, because he's the minister and stuff. We're going to take you off the property. We're going to do quick cleansing, prayer, protection, and everything over you. Allow you to have a quick break. And then if you feel comfortable, get you back in and everything. Or if you guys sit there, I don't feel right and everything, sit there and bring it to our attention and everything, and we'll get you out and everything and do that and everything. Because that's the biggest thing is just trying to keep people safe.
yeah, I mean,
you have to know your limits.
yeah,
Yes.
you're not proving anything to anybody by staying there.
No.
I mean, yeah, if you get scratched, and I mean, I've never been scratched, but I've had people scratch, and they felt fine with it. Okay, but once your demeanor starts going down, get out. There's not saying you can't come back, but just go clear your head. Maybe bring some of that positive energy back, because once you start getting scratched and your demeanor going down, you're starting to think negative.
It's very important to keep yourself grounded.
Yeah.
You have to ground yourself, whatever you believe in, what not, make sure you're level headed and you are grounded when you go into these places, whether it be, and I mean, whether it's been in a place that you've gone into, 100 times before in the past, you have to make sure you have that right set of mind and that your intentions are pure. We talked about, people provoking things like grandma used to tell us all, you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason to go in there and do the ZB method of investigating. You know what I mean? That's on that. There's no punching the walls and stuff like that, or climbing on top of dummies.
I'm being affected.
But I think that if somebody asks, do you believe that there's actually like human spirits there, or is it like demons pretending, or just spirits chilling out? I mean, I think it's going to be depending on where you're at, is what you're going to be dealing with, what you're looking for.
And I think like a lot of I mean, the ZB and everything, almost anything is almost demon related for them and stuff. I don't think that's the case, and I think back in the early days and everything. Because I mean, if you go, I mean, the Vatican has a lot of records and everything of exorcisms being done and everything and all that. So I mean, I do believe they're out there and everything, especially coming from the Bible standpoint and everything. You have good, you're going to have the evil and everything. Are we truly seeing it as much as of right now? I don't think so. I think it's going to be far and few between, and just like here and there. I love the people coming and seeing the Broadwell and everything, but here and there they do the catchy phrase and everything, demon stuff. Talk about the one. I don't see the one being a demon. I think he's just more of a negative, malevolent energy that likes to get his kicks off and everything by scaring people and everything, showing them, hey, this is what I can do and everything. Because the way I look at it, and it goes back to like growing up watching Taps and everything, Jason and Grant and stuff. they went to one location, private residence that believed that he was being tormented by a demon and stuff. It's like, look, if you're truly a demon, do more than the knocks. Do something more and everything. The knocks ain't going to oppress us. And it's like, we're told these demons are supposed to be powerful and everything. It's like, doing a knock, yeah, that's not going to do something more. Throw me, if you really want to prove yourself, push me against the wall and everything, move me or something. And I think it's more on, it's just like we talked about earlier and everything, is just how we was alive and everything is how we're going to be in the afterlife. Whether you want to sit there and believe once we die, we go to heaven and everything and wait till the rapture comes and everything, then we join our body, or are we stuck in this limbo and everything that we don't have access to heaven yet, and we're stuck in this limbo, purgatory, wherever you want to call it and stuff.
Is the energy just displaced at that point, or
Yeah.
What happens to that? You know what I mean? That energy has to go somewhere.
Yeah, because I mean, like when Nick Groff done his investigation at Bridewell, like he sat there. I agree with him. Firm believer. Once the energy is created, it can't be destroyed. So our energy when we die, it's not destroyed. It goes somewhere.
Yeah, it's physics.
I don't have the answer to that and everything. I mean, I would like to believe when I do die, I do get to go to heaven and I'm not stuck in this limbo and everything and wandering the earth and everything and wondering because we have some cases, I'm sure most of you, all of you and everything on your interactions and everything, and that you communicate with these possible spirits of they don't realize they're dead and everything. I don't want to be that way.
Yeah.
When my time comes.
Yeah, I mean, I think demonic is 0.00001%. You're gonna just get more, asshole spirits than anything, evil spirits, whatever. Would I ever go into a demonic situation? No reason to. My belief, unless you're trying to help a family out, I think they have a demonic. Then, personally, I would go in there and say, "Yeah, you might have something bad." Then I'm gonna find someone that knows what the hell they're doing because.
Oh yeah.
That's my pay grade, man.
Yeah, that's way above my pay grade. I mean, but if you want to know if something's in here and something's bad, I believe 90% of the things are just, I guess you want to say, misunderstood. Again, like someone rolling a ball, or like, oh my God, they're scared because a ball or something fell off a table. They're just trying to get your attention. They just want to be heard too. So
that's a prime example. People talk about like biting or scratching and things like that. You have to keep in mind that the environment of where you're at. One of the investigators that I go to with Penhurst is you got to think of the mentality of those children that were there. They couldn't audibly communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So they may pull your hair. They may scratch you to try and communicate with you. They might even try to like bite. They're not trying to hurt you, but that is their way of communicating. And that's where, a lot of people don't understand. You have to know where you're at and know who you're talking to know the level of questioning and the way of communicating with those types of spirits. Because though they passed away, that their mentality is that of when they passed away. They're not going to, mature educationally and things like that. So for somebody to say, "Oh my, they grabbed my hair, this is evil," no, they're just trying to talk to you. That's how they talk. That's how they communicate.
Yeah, Elon King. I mean, Broadwell, Travis, you guys go there a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
I have not been there. Trying to get down there sometime.
More than welcome and everything. Hit us up and everything. I'm sure we can kind of get you in on good call.
So I am doing a new series, like I guess you want to call it series, where I'm going to go to dark basements and spend hours down there by myself. So I love basements. I'm fascinated with dark basements for some stupid reason.
I mean, the basement alone and everything is awesome there because, I mean, sometimes it depends on everything. The one might be up to his, we call it the no good and everything. And he's ready to just sit there and play and everything. or there for a while and everything, you actually be able to talk to what we believe is Christopher Boggs or Carl Gwatney and everything. That is, I mean, we've had a couple of responses where they're still doing work and everything because they're in the basement and everything. We try to show decently with the lights and everything where the actual embalming room was and stuff, where they would prepare the body and stuff. So I mean,
this is a funeral home.
Huh?
This is a funeral home.
Yeah, Bardwell. It was just,
about this.
Yeah, I mean, you joined in on our first live stream that
I
we
didn't
done
put
there.
2 and 2 together.
Yeah, so I mean, it was established in 1910 by the Bardwell family and everything. His Christopher Bardwell parents built it because they like on the other end of town, they had the original location for the Bardwell, and Christopher's mom's like, look, I'm tired of living in the house where we do all this stuff. I want it off site. So they start building it. Christopher became a mortician and everything, and then sat there and took over the family business. And it's like, doesn't bother me. I'm living in it and everything. So from 1910, when he took over for the family, to 1942, he owned and operated. From 1942 to 1976, Carl Gwatney ran and operated as his own business for a funeral home. Lived there and all that. Upstairs is the living quarters. Down there where you would have the funeral parlor and everything. Next day and everything.
When you went into the basement.
Yes. And then like in the basement is where they would sit there and prepare the bodies, do all the momming and all that. Because in one room from the basement, you would have what a lot of people would believe like a storm shelter to try and get from the outside. No, that was where when the bodies came and everything, they open the storm shelter doors, bring the body down, right to the room, start preparing. Once the body was ready, they had this hoist system and everything, open the floors on the first floor, raise the body up in the casket, and then bring it right into the parlor and everything. Everyone would come in what now the owner calls the sunroom and everything. They would gather there, and then when it's time, you single file line, you go up to the parlor, pay your final respects, and out the back door you go.
So why do you think there's residual energy there? Do you think it's the Broadwells?
I think a lot of it is the Broadwell and Carl, especially the Broadwells and everything. So like some of the history and everything, it's hard to find and everything, but like they've been able to find Christopher, his wife, his 2 other kids, death certificates, the birth and death certificates and stuff. The only one that they can't find a death certificate of is Rosalie, his daughter. At the time, a lot of records have shown and everything, Rosalie would have most likely been either physically or mentally handicapped, and back in that time, someone of that was hidden and everything. That was like a disgrace to the family and everything. So she was hidden and everything. Other teams, like the one team that kind of helped put that place on the map when the current owner that owns it now and everything, when you start doing major renovations and really stir up a lot of activity, they finally got permission from him to do investigation and everything. They caught EVP recordings of a Undertaker. They didn't say a name, but it was Undertaker mutilated us, raped us.
Ooh.
So don't really know and everything, especially, I mean, during that time and everything of 1910 and stuff. It's like, who knows what went on and everything, especially knowing a little bit more of the history of our town of Felicity, Ohio and everything. We're right there near the Underground Railroad. It was like mid 2000s. Our old high school was destroyed and everything to build the new one that's now standing and everything. When they done the construction, they found a time capsule. I forget what year it was, but a lot of KKK memorabilia, a lot of things about the Underground Railroad. That turned into a huge fiasco and everything, where it was like on a hiatus. No one wanted to work there for 3 months because like, we can't believe this town was like that. It's like, we're right on the edge of where the South and North was divided. You had a lot of people that did support to end slavery, and then still a lot of people that did not support. I mean, it was an old country town and everything. So, I mean, I think some of it's more residual energy and everything, and some of it still doesn't have, especially with Rosalie and everything. We're going to release some videos that she's upset and doesn't fully understand why she was treated the way she was.
That's sad. But
Yes.
I mean, that's such a common thing back then. Look at Penrose. That's where people shipped those children to.
Yes.
Put them on they had a train that would take the train and it would end there. They would just put the kids on the train and the train would just take them. Like concentration camp style.
Yes.
But, if you look back, there have been major historic events where there have been very horrific funeral directors that have done very, very bad things. If you look back at there's the HBO documentary series now. It's called The Mortician that goes back about the Lamb Funeral Home. That property is now open it's an escape room, but you can actually go there and investigate. And now I think things like that, where the bodies maybe have been desecrated or mutilated, they have a valid reason for wanting to be there, to be involved in things like that. So I can see something with that type of energy being trapped there. That makes sense. You look at what's the Nobles, Georgia, tri-state crematory. That was one of the biggest issues in the funeral profession, where they just weren't cremating the bodies and burying the bodies on the property. So the question is, would there possibly be would that be something where there could be residual energy because the person was never truly put to rest?
True. I mean, sitting there, going back and in the timeline of when that funeral was first created and everything. I mean, who's to sit there and say that a murder didn't happen and they just slip cash money? Hey,
cover it up.
Get rid of this body for me and stuff.
That's what a lot of people. Everybody thinks, Jimmy Hoffa's under Giant Stadium or whatever. A lot of people believe that he was just paid off a funeral director to cremate the body, and the ashes have just been disposed of.
When we was sitting there announcing, in the town's they call it the Friends of Felicity Facebook page, one of our posts and everything, someone sat there and commented on it and sat there and said, hey, I used to live right across the front of the street and everything when Carl Gwatney ran it. I lived from this year to this year and stuff, was real good friends with Carl Gwatney, but I always remember him. He would sit there and pour the blood into these large clay pipes out by the garage and stuff. And it's
when you embalm it, it all goes into the general. It just goes into a toilet basin and it gets flushed.
Yes, but it's so the night of that investigation and everything, I sat there and asked the owner, I'm like, hey, do you ever notice these large clay pipes? Because I told him what the person said and stuff. He's like, yeah. He's like, I removed them, and he's like, why? I'm like, well, he sat there and said he remembered that he would sit there and pour the blood into these large clay pipes. He's like, well, that might have been the one reason why they was paying the butt to remove. I'm like, did you know if they went into the catch basin? He's like, yeah, there was nothing there. He's like, it just kind of went straight into the ground.
Piping. That's all.
So it's could some of that kind of also I don't know on that part, but it's just something else that we're trying to uncover. We're trying to find records of who's been through there for funerals and stuff. The last remaining funeral home and everything, they have all the burial plots location.
Well, when the funeral home closed, the funeral home would have had to given the records to a designated funeral home.
So they get the McIntyre Funeral Home. They have all the locations of where the bodies were buried and stuff. That's what the owner said. I haven't personally got a chance to talk to him and sit there and see hey, can we kind of get some possible names or something when you guys got time and everything? Just try it.
The problem is you're still bound by HIPAA.
Okay.
Even though the person's deceased, we would only be able to give information out if the legal next of kin gave us permission to release information.
And that's why I also kind of figured everything, because I know quite a bit of HIPAA. So,
now you can go back and start doing obituary searches if you have Ancestry or newspaper.com subscriptions. Just start looking up the name of the funeral home on those searches and start looking at those obituaries. That's how you can circumvent that.
Okay. That's good, because doing some good Google search and everything, because of course, during that time and everything, it's like not a lot of stuff was really posted online, wasn't in existence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've been hitting some roadblocks there, but I mean, on our downtimes, we've been really going through and trying and find out more history, because each time we go in there, we have like questions and everything. We might get some answers, but we're always leaving there with a lot more questions.
And I mean, that just goes to show you. I mean, that's the best part, though. When you walk away with more questions than answers, that's where you feel like, okay, I got my experience worth tonight. And,
Yes.
because when you come in and you got the answers to everything, I think we walk away all the time never having the answers. If we had the answers, we wouldn't be continue to go out and investigate.
True.
Yeah, most of these podcasts, I come out with more questions than answers. So, and that's.
I bet you didn't know when we embalm it goes right into the regular, sewage.
Yeah, so we're hour 40 minutes into this. So I don't know. I think Travis, we may need a little collab with us four, little down there.
Yeah,
doing an investigation.
I mean, sit there
in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sit there and we can start planning something out and everything. I'm sure I can get Austin to sit there and kind of make it where it's pretty reasonable and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we can bring the Mortician down. I mean,
But that's what I'm saying. You bring it in and be like, hey, look, I got my card carrier membership here. Let's go. Let's talk.
So, I mean, talk about you and Skylar. So, do you have a bucket list place that you would want to investigate?
Oh man, we did a Facebook Live and a YouTube Live a couple months back where we did our we were supposed to do our top 10, and I think it turned into like a top 20 of where we would want to investigate. Somewhere over in the UK, overseas. She just checked one off of her list yesterday because she wanted to do a private at Jenny Wade. She wants to do Farrar. She's been invited to be able to come out there. I know there were one that I know I will never, ever, ever be able to investigate is I would love to investigate the Vatican.
Yes.
That's Travis's right there.
I think it would be epic to investigate the Vatican. I think there's a couple places, Trans-Allegheny. We'd love to get out there. There's just so many. There's so many because there's just so much that you see everyone else's investigations, but you know as well as I do, your investigation today, and then you go back tomorrow and it's completely different. It's different activity. It's a different experience, whether it be who you bring with you or it's just who you're actually interacting with.
Yeah.
So we're so excited. Skylar, she's loving the, just the friends she's making. We went to Para Unity yesterday over in New Jersey, and it was so cool. We got through security there, and as we're walking around just going to different vendors, like people are coming up to her recognizing her and like, oh my God, you're Skylar. It's so cool to finally meet you. We follow you on YouTube or Facebook and things like that. And she was loving life. And I can't, and as her dad, I'm just sitting there because she's happy. It's making me exceedingly happy.
That is the best feeling in the world and everything to see that excitement on your child's face.
I can see Chris back there behind her be like, hey, I'm Chris. Hey.
Dude, she's got little business cards now, so she hands out little business cards. So, and she's like, they're like, oh, is that your dad? And she's like, no, that's my cameraman. I was like, really? I'm the cameraman and the chauffeur.
How you getting home?
Exactly. It's like, good luck with that.
That's cool. So I always ask everybody these generic questions, like equipment wise, what's your go-to piece of equipment?
We use the SB11 Spirit Box. We like that. Skylar has a whole line. We use Vortex Ghost Gear, who Bob, Christopher, and Gina Bankston. They're the ones that put on Penhurst Paracon every year, but they also own Vortex Ghost Gear. They make all their gear. They live here in Pennsylvania. They give a lifetime warranty with the equipment too. Okay. So if your equipment ever goes south, something happens, they will either fix it or replace that equipment for you. No questions, no cost to you. So definitely, if you ever look for, we actually just had, I should have brought it down. So we're going to start beta testing a piece of equipment that he just started making. It's called the Nexus, and it's a yes or no device, but it also does sound, motion, and temperature regulation to be able to determine the yes or no. So I'll have some videos of that shortly. They gave it to us yesterday when we were in Jersey to start testing out for them. So
Nice.
I'm really excited for that.
Met them at Gettysburg this summer, and phenomenal people.
Oh, were you at the bash?
Yeah, we were at the bash.
Oh
And
yeah,
their prices are amazing. Like, if you want a custom music box, any music you want on it, they'll put it on there. Any skin you want on it, they'll put on it. It's like $110. I
yeah.
mean, it was amazing.
They're the easy
It's got to
scan
be too good to be true.
is like $200, but it's absolutely amazing because you don't have to sit there and you're fumbling with all the little buttons and reverse and all like that. You turn them on, you've 1, 2, 3, or 4 for your speed, and we've gotten good results with that. And like I said, what I really love is that if something goes wrong, you pick up the phone. Bob will either help you troubleshoot the issue over the phone, or he'll say, "Send it back to me. I'm sending you a new one." And
Okay.
it's for the lifetime of that. As long as you own that product or that piece of equipment, they'll stand behind it.
Oh, that's cool.
The trigger we've got the trigger animals. We have one of the cats. That's really cool. And when we go into the Gettysburg orphanage with the kids, they like to pet the cat versus having the REM pod just out. It's built into a cat or a dog. They actually made a special one for Skylar. It's in a little fox. They gave it to her at the bash, so she's got pictures posted on her Facebook page of that. So a lot of people don't realize. So Gina, who is Bob's now fiance from Vortex, that's how Skylar got her name, Parakeet. So Parakeet, you have para for paranormal, and then kid is a baby fox. So Skylar loves foxes. Well, Bob's fiance Gina is known in the field as the para fox. So she called her little kit. So that's how Skylar got her name, Parakeet, in the paranormal.
That's cool. That works. I mean,
And that just so now Gina, it's like her namesake and all. It's pretty cool. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, check out their website, check out their Facebook page.
definitely.
I mean, they're amazing people. They will literally give you the shirt off. They are so nice. That's who you might want to reach out to them, Ryan, and they'll come on the podcast with you.
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about that this last month. Because I've had owners on, I've had other people on, other groups on. Like, I want to get someone that makes equipment on, and why they do it.
Do you remember the old TV show Ghost Detectives?
Yeah.
That's Bob Christopher.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out to them. See, it'd be cool to have on. I mean, because again, like you said, I mean, I've had owners on, and I'm very specific on who I have on the show.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be able to tell because Nacho's on all the time, but no. I mean, I always tell people I go through your Facebook page, I go through your YouTube page. If you're just asking for followers, I don't invite you on the show. That's just
like
me.
truly like vet people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and same with owners. Are you just buying the place just to try to make a profit, but to let you know you're not going to? Because owning a paranormal building is expensive. But no, I mean, I'll reach out to them and see if we can get them on the show sometime. It'd be cool to see the different equipment out there. I mean, we always have questions how it works, why it works, and why you do this. So
Gina's got her own show on Thursday nights on YouTube and Facebook, the Fox Den with Gina B. So so you can go back and look at all her. I mean, she's been doing it for years now. But so you got 10 minutes. What are the questions you truly ever wanted to ask a mortician and funeral director?
yeah,
So-
anybody out there?
While people sit there, so you kind of mentioned everything earlier and everything. You guys are the last responder and everything. So Yeah. So I mean, like, for me being a first responder, I'm in fire EMS and everything. We see it while it happened and stuff. How I'm sure there's probably a little more difference and everything from when we first see it and everything, and see how the family is and stuff, compared to when you're seeing it and everything. Kind of like explaining that, because I also know that there's sometimes that you have to know when to kind of take a step back and decompress and everything. How is that for you?
You again, you have to know your limits. You have to know your limits, and before I had Skylar, I would handle any of the children calls and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have that. Like my coworkers had children and things like, you know what I mean. But now it's a different it's a different feeling. It's a different atmosphere.
100%. I understand where you come from there.
As far as I see a lot of families raw with PTSD when they come in to make arrangements, and we have to carefully walk them through, and again, that's where the term funeral director comes in. We're there to direct, and that's where a lot of people that are starting in the profession have trouble, because you need to know when you need to take control of the situation and direct the family, because the family has no idea what they're doing.
Oh, no.
You may only in your lifetime, if you're lucky, have to plan one funeral. I do it every single day. So let me do. I tell people, I said, just step back and let me do my job. You know, your mom, your dad, your sister, your whomever, they're in excellent hands. I'm going to take care of them. I am your family for the next 72, 48, whatever hours that we're going to be working together. I'm still your family. And then I always tell people at the end of the service, just because the service ends doesn't mean I'm not here for you. Pick up the phone and call me if you need something. That's what we're here for. Um, the trauma is real. Like, people don't understand that, when you leave the scene, that family's still there. And then the problem is, a lot of times when you clear a scene and, the their loved one is still there. And then we show up, and then, we get involved. We're taking the person out of the residence, bringing them into our care. And sometimes that's the most difficult part for the family. You're physically letting that's when reality starts to set in, that this person is never coming back. I am taking that person from you.
Yeah.
And it can get very emotional in those settings. And you have to know, you can't sit there, and yes, you feel for that family, and like I said before, we give a piece to everyone we work with, but we can't get emotionally.
You can't show it and everything. It's just like there and everything, because
Yes.
I mean,
I'm very sympathetic. And one of the things I will never, when a family comes in to meet with me, I will never say the words, "I'm sorry for your loss," because a family can tell when you're full of BS very quickly.
Especially in that moment.
I'll never forget a older lady. She was a widow, and I said, Mrs. Smith, I'm sorry for your loss. She said, "No, you're not. You're here to do a job. You're protecting. You're collecting a paycheck." And I'm like, that resonated with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I understand how she could interpret that. I legitimately was sorry. So now I always explain to people, I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances.
Yep.
And it's all about words matter. And even in a paranormal and investigations, like we talk about intentions and things like words matter. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I mean, we were going out, we were doing the same thing. We during the pandemic, we were running out of room. We were, backlogged. We were, trying to, one of the hardest things is sitting there with a family to make arrangements and, explaining to them, well, how can you choose which 3 people you can bring into the building for the funeral service?
Yeah.
And it's a grandmother that has 20 grandchildren. I mean, it was rough times, and a lot of people didn't give the funeral directors or the morticians the thought of the day. It was, granted, the first responders, the doctors, and all like that, but once the person passed, We had to.
I mean, you guys see the whole different trauma aspect and everything. We might see the raw and everything, but like you said, that rawness is still carrying over. And then you don't know these people and everything. And now you get, and basically they're coming in and everything, preparing to say the final goodbyes and everything. And you got to take that all in and everything, and still deal with what they're feeling.
You got to be very tactful, and you handle people with kicks. Here's the thing: I treat everyone with the same amount of respect as if it were my mother or my father. Whether I'm embalming, whether I'm cremating, down to placing flower arrangements, I'm going to treat that person as if they were my mom, they were my dad, they were my wife. You know what I mean? They get the same. Nobody, whether it's a $50,000 funeral or whether it's a $1,000 cremation, they get the same service no matter what. And a lot of people have a hard time differentiating that in this profession, and it's sad.
So Chris, what happens when somebody doesn't have any family or somebody just can't pay? And how often does that happen?
A lot.
That's why I ask, because I'm sure it happens a lot.
And so from my previous role with my company before, we were a state contractor. And so in the state of Maryland, if you pass away in a hospital and you're not claimed by your family or a funeral director within 72 hours, they notify what's called the Maryland State Anatomy Board. The decedent is transported to the state. They try to make contact with the next of kin and see if they're planning on, making arrangements or things like that. If not, and they say, we just don't have the finances or anything, the decedent becomes a ward of the state. And the Maryland State Anatomy Board will see if the decedent will qualify for any type of research or donation programs. So like as an EMT and things like that, a lot of times when you guys do your intubation training, you would be using cadavers.
Yep.
So if the body is in good enough shape to be able to be used for those types of programs, they'll go through those programs and then they'll sign a death certificate over. And then they're sent to the crematory. They're cremated. The cremated remains are then sent back to the anatomy board. And then once a year, what they do is they buy a grave liner. It's like a concrete box. And they'll put the temporary urns into that concrete box and bury them in a state cemetery. And every state has different programs. Some have with local funeral homes, depending on how small the towns are or the states are. They may offer, a minimal fee for the funeral home to be able to handle the cremation and things like that. And then they go to like a potter's field or a pauper's grave. So, and it happens a lot. Like I said, people don't forecast, and no one's ever in a hurry to see me. And it's one of those things that no one ever thinks about it until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit down with people making arrangements, and the first words out of my mouth, okay, what did mom or dad or what are we going to do? And they'll look at me and they say, we don't know. We never talked. We never had this conversation.
And most people don't want to talk about it. I mean, I don't want to talk about when I'm going to die, right? I mean,
we're a death-denying society, and I'll tell you why. And so if you ever go to the hospital, and if you guys are first EMTs or whatnot, as a funeral director, when I go to the hospital, if I'm looking for the morgue, there's one particular object I will look to find, and I will find the morgue: the dumpsters. Most morgues are by the dumpsters. They don't want people to be seen coming out of a facility. Nursing homes now, if you go to pick someone up, you got to go out the back door. There's no, we are so death denying. It's not even funny. There's only one veteran. There's a veterans hospice unit that when the veteran passes, we go to the room. They will drape the cot with a flag. They will do an honor walk lining the whole route to the car. You go right out the front door. And I mean, it is the most amazing sight to see, because everywhere else they'll hurry up and push people in their rooms and shut the doors and this, that, and the third.
I've been a part of that when I worked in the private EMS sector and everything. There's in the next county over and everything, the Veterans Home of Georgetown, Ohio, and stuff. It's there's two locations that's ran by the state and everything, and one in northern Ohio, and then we got the one in the south. Been there a couple of times for that and everything, and that's what they do is when it is. Every veteran that's there in that care facility, they're lining the halls, and it's just a sombering moment and everything, because they call the private EMS and everything, because it's either we got to take them to the local hospital morgue or to a funeral home or these states, wherever state city, yeah, and everything. So they've been there a couple of times and everything. It's a true sombering moment to just be a part of that.
So we're 2 hours in here now. So
Nacho's not going to watch none of this.
No, first hour. That's it. I'll break it up in 2 episodes, so he'll watch both. So. No, Chris, again, thanks. If anybody out there has never followed Chris on Facebook, follow him. Was it Daily Coffee Conversations?
Yep, you have morning coffee conversations with your friendly neighborhood mortician.
Yeah, I mean, they're unbelievable. You did talk about that one time on yours, and it hit home with me about how people don't want to talk about it. Make the plans, find out what your loved ones want. So everything he says in those just, you don't question yourself, but they all make sense to me. So, I mean, I love them. I look forward to them every day. Sometimes they're a little later in the day. They're not mornings, but you're a busy guy, so we understand that. Keep being you. I always say that to everybody, but again, a mortician they're special people. And
yes,
I don't know if I can say it's not a jealousy thing, but the way you just outlook in life is just unbelievable. My one good friend's a mortician, and growing up with him in high school, he was called Wild Thing. And then, his family was in the business. He went on his own on the side because it was a business and not what he wanted. And the unbelievable person to talk to. Just to have not even talking about mortician stuff, funeral stuff, just having a conversation with him is just unbelievable, the outlook they have in life. So I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure Nacho, he was a little quiet tonight. He's a little under the weather, but appreciates it. Travis, always.
I listened more tonight than I ever listened. So
yeah,
good.
It was one of those podcasts you just want to sit back and listen. So
yes,
which I like. If I don't have to talk, it's better.
Yeah, guys, definitely, I appreciate you having me out. Follow me on Facebook. With my new role, one of the things is the owners want to really pull back the curtain of funeral service. So there'll be a lot more video content from the funeral home showing. Like tomorrow, I plan on, I got caskets coming in for some services. So I'm actually going to show, make a video of, how a casket's received, how we check them in, what we look over and stuff like that. And then, once I build a little bit of rapport with the community, it's, I will never show you an embalming, but I plan on bringing you guys into the embalming room, talking about the instruments, explaining, what the instruments are used for, and, even going into, like what the different types of embalming chemicals we use. So that's stuff that I'll, just again, follow along. And if you have questions, drop them there and I'll be sure to, either make a video or answer the questions.
All right. I appreciate it. And hopefully we can get together next year sometime, do a funeral home down by Travis. And
that'd be a blast.
Yeah,
yes.
That'll be fun. So I hate any of these, like I say every time, I'm just going to end and thank everybody for listening in and all your questions. Again, if you have other questions for Chris, probably hit him up on Facebook and he'll get back to you. Appreciate it.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thanks.